Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Houzz Pro for Builders What's New webinar. I'm super thrilled that you're here. Feel free to write down in the chat where you're calling from. And so today, basically, we're going to discuss the new improvements that we have recently made into Houzz Pro. So it's really a webinar dedicated for general contractors, for builders. So we are trying to focus as much as we can on your own workflow. So if you have any questions, we have Flora also that is in the room. She's here to answer any of your questions. So feel free to drop them in the chat or in the Q&A tab. So we're going to give ourselves probably 1 extra minute before we start until everyone's joining us. By the way, that webinar is going to be recorded. So if you have to leave in the middle of the session, don't worry, we'll have you covered and we'll be sending you the replay just after the recording. So yeah, I see that people are calling from different places in the UK. So welcome and thank you so much for joining us today. As you can hear from my accent, I'm not calling you guys from the UK, but actually from France, in the south of France, close to Marseille, if you've ever been there. All right, well, we gave ourselves 1 minute, so I think that we can start. So I'm just gonna share my screen today and basically show you what we've been doing for the past quarter. So let me share my screen. There you go. So just a quick intro, just to help you navigate throughout that webinar today. So it's a What's New webinar that we are organizing every quarter. So the aim of that webinar is to actually show you what we have developed throughout the last quarter at Houzz Pro, what are the new things that you may have missed, the new feature that we have implemented, or some improvements that we have made. So it's really like a great way to also let us know during those webinars if you need things to change, if you want to improve the software in some way, if you have any requirements that you would like us to implement, because obviously Houzz Pro is a software dedicated for general contractors and builders. So we are trying as much as we can to optimize that software with all of your requests and all of your feedback. So today, I'm here with Flora. So Flora is our product support specialist. So basically, whenever you have a questions on Houzz Pro, and I'll show you at the end of the webinar how to submit a ticket. But Flora is one of our Houser here that is answering all of those questions and trying to find a solution. And I am a senior product marketing manager. So basically, I make sure that we enhance the software based on the feedback that we've collected. And we are trying our best to match your workflow and how we can get Houzz Pro to where you need it to be. So today we're going to discuss several topics, and one super interesting topic that I want to bring, and it's actually pretty recent, is it's a new set of features that we have launched based on a new package. So obviously you have a different type of package with a subscription to Houzz Pro. You can be on a Pro package, you can be on Ultimate, you can be on Essential. But so essentially what we are doing is that we are introducing a new package with more features that are completely linked to how you monitor, how you managing your financial visibility of your business. How do you make sure that everything stay on track as far as your bid management process, your contract, your budget? So I'm just going to quickly show you what the new features that we have introduced and how they work. And if you're interested in knowing a little bit more, you can always schedule a call with your account specialist to understand a little bit more about the feature and see if you're interested into upgrading to get access to those features. So I'm just going to change quickly my screen up. And then we're going to Houzz Pro. So you are familiar with the way that Houzz Pro looks, obviously. And so basically the new feature that we have introduced based on that specific custom package are under project. So I'm just going to select a specific project here, Hostel renovation. And you have new features that are actually, you know, like on the pipe right now. The first feature that I want to show you is under Planning tab here, and you have a new feature called Bids. Basically, that specific feature will help you manage the different bids that you're sending to your subcontractors. The pain point around that is whenever it came to a full renovation project, it was somehow quite cumbersome to get all the subs under one dedicated space. Sometimes when you're in your bidding process, you send them by email and then you're retrieving different type of answers. It's always a little bit hard to compare them, to see what's the best price, what the scope of work that your bidders and that the subs are sending to you. So in here, it's really a simplified way to actually have access to all of your subs at the same place, to all of their answers, and how basically to compare the different types of bids that you're receiving. So in here, I've created electrical, but if you want to create a new bid, you can just click on the tab on the right called Create Bids. And so here you have two tabs, Bid Request Form and Bidders. In this, you will have the information about your company, and then you can set up the bid information. So you can select the date when the bid is due. You can send a reminder the day before due date to all of your bidders. You can select the different type of trade. So in here, I selected electrical, but if you're bidding, if the bids include several other, you know, type of work, you can you know, like include them here, and you can even create your own. You can add a project address up, and then you can basically change the estimated project start date. So I'm just going to get started on the 8th of July. And then here you can set up the scope of work. So in the scope of work, you can type whatever you need from your bidders, basically what's the, you know, like the scope of work for the specific project, the renovation project, what needs to be included, and so on. And then you can attach files. So if you have like a floor plan to add, if you have any other information that is requested, you can add them here. So basically you give the same information to all of your subs to be able to fully commit to a bid. And then in that tab, bidders, you can actually select among the subs that are already existing in your pipeline to see what you want to, you know, like to whom you want to send it to. So in here, I can select, you know, sub for subs. I can select other type of subs here. And then when I select all of them, I can even add like a new sub information. So it will be stored into Houzz Pro. Then I select all of those, you know, like subs, and then I can send the bid request. Prior to that, I can preview what it will look like for my subs. So they will have access to that, scope of work, bid submission, and then they can select the trade, they can put the total, they can add notes, inclusion, exclusion, they can add an attachment. So for instance, if they have like an estimate that they want to send it to you, they can actually do it here. And then once you're ready, you can send the bid request. So in here you have the total bidders selected, and then you send that. And what's great, especially when you're working on bigger renovation project or construction project, is that you will be able to access all of those bids in here. So if you go back to your project, you know that you have two bidders, you know how many answers you'll have, you know what the status is. And so you have the ability to access the, you know, like the information much faster. And once you're retrieving any bids answer, you will be able to access in here, you know, like the amounts, and then you can award a bid, resend bid request, submit bid, or remove the bidders if you want. And then after you can award the different bidders to the different bid. So if you're selecting one specific sub there, you can award that bid to them. And so they will be able to have the information that you have awarded them the bid, and then you can start working with them. So it's actually a pretty cool way and very, very easy way to be able to track your costs with your bidders. That you will be able to input those information as well into your estimate. So it's super easy to do, and it's a great way to alleviate the pain of following up with all of your subs. You can send them back a new, like a new information, a new message telling them to answer that bid. So you're actually setting up the right processes for your bids to onboard into the renovation project that you're working on. And it's also a great way to be able to compare the different prices and see who's like more expensive, but what's their scope of work versus another one. So that's one of the new feature that we have added into Houzz Pro under the custom SKU. The other feature that we have included is also under the planning tab in here, and it's called contracts. So obviously, whenever you're working on project and renovation or construction project, there might be a time where you will actually gonna submit a new contract to your client. So in here, you have the ability to see what you've been working on. So these are the drafts. And here you have the ability to create a new contract from 3 different versions. The first one is from scratch. The other one is from upload. So if you already have a contract, whether it's like a doc or a PDF, you will be able to input that and it will automatically transmit into text. Or you can work from a template. So we have created an agreement by Houzz, but the more that you will be working on your template, I'll show you how to save your contract template and then reuse them in the future for any project that you're working on. So I'm just going to use a specific contract. And here it works as a text editor, right? So you will have the outline on the left part where you have access to the different titles. So if you need to change anything, you can do that. You can create, like you can set up how you want to display your contract. You can bold it, create italic text, underline. So it basically works like a Google Doc or just like a doc. But what's great about that is you have that feature, smart text. So smart text is, as it's called, a way to create and input the information that are based on your client or on your company. So in here, if you're integrating like a new smart text, you can just add it here. You can add any of those relevant, data. So I'm just going to add, like for instance, the email address of my client. And what's great about that is that once you're going to save that as a template for any new project, it will automatically update with your client information. So let's say that you're creating a contract. You're setting up your templates, you're setting up all of your smart text. Once you're ready and that you feel that this is the contract that you're going to use for several different projects, you can go into action here, save as a template, rename it. So general agreement template, for instance. You save it, and then you will be able to reuse that. So if you're changing, like your client, and that it goes from, 1 High Street London to, let's say, 143 King's Cross Road, London, then it will automatically update. So if you're changing any information regarding your client, it will update. And if you're using that template into any other relevant project, it will also update based on the information that you have filled. So it's a great way to actually track, like the agreements, if there is anything that you need to add into your contract, if you need to create like an additional, addendum to your contract or anything else, this is where you track it. And it's actually pretty convenient when you have any issues with your client, for instance, that you can go back to the signed agreement, quickly find what you're looking for, what the client have signed. And so basically to make sure that you stay on top of your workflow with those type of issues. And just as the same in here, you can set up automation. So you can set up like a client reminder to review the contract. You can send a thank you email after the contract is signed. You can also edit in here, like your client's reminder and the thank you message if you need to be, more personalized to what you want to send. And then you can preview that specific contract. You'll have the signature here and you can send it. And then it will send it automatically to your client. And then you'll have, if some information are not filled, it will send you a reminder that those information are not signed. And then when you go back to, like your contract in here, you'll be able to see what has been sent, the draft, and so on, so you can access that, and your client can sign online, which make it so much easier, obviously, to get approval, rather than sending them a PDF. Then they have to print it, sign it, or even like find a e-signature provider online to be able to add their signature on it. So we have you covered on that, and it makes it so much easier to stay on top of everything. Plus, if you're working with the team, if you have an administrative assistant, this is where they will be able to track everything. So that's pretty convenient, and it's also available in the custom package. One other feature that I found super, super, super interesting, especially for construction professional and general contractors, is the budget feature. So we're jumping from the planning tab into the finance tab. And if you're scrolling down, you'll have the budget feature here. So the budget feature is really, let's say, a great tool to monitor your performances. And I've been interviewing a lot of general contractors, and they always are struggling to actually compare the real price that they are spending on every project versus what they have estimated versus what the client is paying. So at the end of the day, it makes it hard to understand exactly how much money you're making from any project, because you have probably estimated something, but then things are coming in the project. You may be you may be confronted to paying additional prices, or there might be a variance into what you're paying versus what you have estimated. And it's always like a hustle to actually understand where the money is going where. And so basically the budget feature is actually helping you to understand what you have estimated versus what you have spent on a project based on the line items. So in here in the budget setup, you have, so if you're on an empty state here and you have never set a budget, you can go into budget setup, and then you can link the estimates that you have created. So in here, I've created an estimate here. I have no change orders and I have no purchase order. So this, I'm going to actually, take all of the estimates that I have done. So it's just one. And then I'm going to sync the documents. Once I'm syncing, it's taking, I have not categorized, this is the singular line items, but I have not categorized into my estimates. And so I have all the line items that I've done for my work. And then here you see you have the site preparation. And so if you're clicking on every line item, you have the ability to see in which estimate they belong, when it was created, and what's the total price. In here, we see that we have not invoiced anything from that. And then you can add several other stuff. For instance, if you have an expense that you want to add, right? So regarding the site preparation and demolition, you are, I'm going to report that and say, okay, site preparation. I'm going to create a service. And, oh, sorry. I'm just going to do that again. Site prep. Then I can, add a cost. For instance, if it's one of the sub that is there and it's like £100 per the hour, maybe I'm just going to get it a little bit lower. And then it's, £50 an hour for 8 hours of work. Then I can save that expense, right? And I mean, same here. I mean, in here I put the notes, but I can also add any other expenses, like a new file, for instance. Same thing. If I go into site prep and then I spend like £500 into a specific place, I can attach the files there. I can add a description, spent at HG, for instance, and then there's one. I can save it, and then it will automatically link to the budget. Save budget item, There you go. And then once it's saved there, I will understand like how much did I estimated, how much did I actually spend, and like what's the variance here. So obviously this will help you, like pinpoint the areas where you're in positive versus in negative. Let's say that's for structural work. I'm just going to add quickly an expense. And then I'll add like a 7,000 expense here. Same here. So I'm gonna add 1,000, one quantity, save budget item, and then it didn't save here. I can always modify that. It's because I didn't input the quantity, so I'm just gonna save. It's always happened this way. There you go, save budget item. Then in here, I can see what I've done, right? And so basically what's happening here is that I'm in negative. So I spent more than I actually estimated. So it means that for you, it's a red flag of saying, okay, well, right now I'm actually eating my margin. So I need to, like find a solution to actually make it positive. So do I make it positive under, like other type of project? But it's also a great way to actually monitor your performance and see, when you're starting a new project that you have had like an issue of estimating because of X and Y reason. And so in the future, you will have to actually not apply the same price, but probably, price it a little bit better to make sure that you're protecting your margin here. And so it also works with invoicing. So whenever you're creating an invoice based on your estimate, it will automatically sync and you'll be able to see what was invoiced versus what was paid versus what you have spent on those different type of, like elements. So I'm just trying to see for now, no questions. So this is all of the features that are available in the new custom package. And we also have other type of features that are available. And one of them is also on client dashboard. So basically your client dashboard, you might be familiar already with your client dashboard, but it's a great way to actually connect with your clients and have like a specific repository to enhance the communication with your clients. And so right now what's also available is you can add a cover image into your dashboard to make it more personal. So we give you some, cover picture that you can use, but you can also upload your own. And you also have the ability to add widgets. So that's quite interesting because in those widgets, you can add, like a welcome message, or you can even add like updates from week of the 17th of June. And then in that text box, you'll be able to add several type of update one, and so on, update two, blah, blah, blah. And so whenever your client is actually using your client dashboard, they will have access to those updates directly. So it's actually a great way to organize the information, make sure that you're communicating effectively with your pros and with your clients, and that you're able to showcase your work and basically how everything is working for you. You can also add like a weather location. So because that location was not put into the project, you have an error, but once you input an address, they will also add the weather. And so what it does in here, you can also customize what you want to show to your clients. So if you want to hide daily logs, mood boards, that would be worthwhile like showing, but financials or 3D floor plan, or, like anything that you want to show them, you can customize. And then after you can preview what your clients will see. And so basically you will have the desktop version versus the mobile version. So you can see basically how the information is laid out, and they will have access to all the information that you have sent. So here it's like the message, and they can message you quickly. They can access the contract. So in here we have sent, so they will be able to review that. They can see where we are at in terms of financial docs, so like the invoices that you have sent and any other relevant items that you're sharing with them. So that's one of the major updates that we have for the new package. So if you're interested into knowing a little bit more from one of our reps, feel free to leave them a message. You can reach out to your customer success manager, or you can reach out to the support team. And I'm just going to show you quickly how it works. So if you go to here, like the little question tag on the left, you can submit a support ticket. And then if you want to know a little bit more about, some features, you can actually write it here. So that's for the new customs queue, but we also have, new and smaller improvement that I wanted to show you today. One of those is on the lead part. So on your CRM, you have now the ability to save different type of views. So let's say that in here you want to customize a specific view, and that's actually quite handy when you're multiple person working on your pipeline, and that you want to set up like a specific view that is more, easy for you to understand. You can select what you want to, see first. If you want to have tags, if you want to have stages, if you want to have the tasks, project type, lead source, I'm just going to hide all of those in here. Then I can save it. And then I'll have access to that view. And in here, I can create a new view. So it's like Andrea's view. And then, Andrea view. And so in here, whenever I want, I'll be able to access all of the views that I want to have. And so here, I'll be able to have, the lead, the stage, and I can also, change here, pin some columns, being able to see the task at the very beginning to make sure that I stay on top of the task that I need to do, and so on. So it's really like a great way to be able to track what needs to be done and, what I want to see. And so from those, view that you can have, we also have some new features that came into that lead. The first one is the ability to schedule a message. In here, let's go and maximize that. I can add a CC, and also I can add, thank you for your message. I'll be sending you some news quite soon. I'm not super inspired, but you understand the in here that you're writing a message to your lead. And if you click on that arrow here, you have the ability to schedule a set. So it's particularly handy if you're, for instance, working late at night. And I know that general contractors and builders, you often on-site, but off home or off office. So in here, if you're working late at home and that you want to set up an email first thing in the morning, you can actually set up your date, pick it up, and then schedule send. And so you'll see that you have a message scheduled to go tomorrow at 8 a.m. to avoid sending a message to your clients at 3 in the morning, for instance. So that's one of the new things that we have developed here. You also have into, the lead section. If you're going back into your leads, you have the lead import history that is here. So in here, you can, add leads from importing from a file. So in here, if you have like a CSV and you have all the leads that you need to import from various sources from an Excel spreadsheet, you can do so. And then here you will have the lead import history that will help you see the different type of, errors that have been made through importation. It's also avoiding duplicate leads by consulting the history of previous file and quickly access the details of your previous imports. So that's actually quite helpful as well to make sure that you have no duplicate into your leads and that you don't end up with like a very, very packed pipeline where you have to manually, remove some of your leads because you have included some duplicates. So yes, that's pretty much the things that I wanted to discuss for the leads parts. And we also have a new two new features that are into projects. The first one is the team chat. I don't know if you have seen it already, but basically you have in here, in that right rail, the team chat. So in here, it kind of like, it acts like, a Slack channel, or, like a Google chat. And so you're able to chat with your team on a project level. So let's say that I need to see a schedule for the project by Friday afternoon. Thanks. You can also tag some of your crew. You can add some of the documents that you're working on. So, like takeoff, retainer, change orders, invoices, estimates. So it can be linked to one of the estimate that you have worked on. Up. And then I need to see a schedule for this. So you see in here, you can actually tag your, like your team. You can add emojis, you can upload a file as well. So it's a great way to be able to interact with your team on a specific project and link it to the different elements that you're working on. So yes, that's pretty much what we have done for that. And in terms of collaborating with your team, you also have now the opportunity to actually comment on a document. So in here, if you're going into an estimate, you have the ability to add comments there and then create your comments on that. So line 3.2, change the price to £500, for instance, submit. And so your team, oh no, that's for your client, sorry. Oh, I'm just going to delete it. But then I can email my team in here, change the price for £5,000 in 3.2, for instance. And then I can submit that. So my team will be working. So usually if you have an administrative assistant that can help you with your estimating process, you'll be able also to add your inputs into that estimate. So it's actually quite helpful to be able to track whatever you're doing and how it can enhance basically the information that you're sending to your client. And you can also add a comment to your client. For instance, whenever you're adding an estimate, you can add, like if your client needs to add a comment to your estimate, once they will receive it, they will also have the ability to add comments. So you can change it accordingly. You can understand like where they're coming from. And so basically you have like a better communication throughout your process and your estimating process. So yes, it's one of the features that we have that is available for you guys. So feel free to check them out. And one last thing that I wanted to show, it's in project, and it's regarding tasks and snag lists. And so basically in your tasks, once you're creating a new task here, if you click on that tasks, and when you can set up, like your due date, who's your team member assigned to it, if it's added to a schedule and the description, you also have the ability to comment the tasks and you can see the activities. So it's a great way to see when the task was created, is to actually get accountability from the people that you're working on. So when the task was created, if you assign anyone to that task, and it's particularly handy for, like your communication with the subs, with your team members, with your field crew, and basically see, when it was like created, when it was, finished, up, completed, and basically be able to track the information much better. So what we are really focusing on in currently is really like the ability to be able to track, to monitor, and to understand your whole processes and your whole pipeline, to be able to, like seize better the scope of your project, to make sure that you stay on track of your financials, and that like there is always something going wrong into a project. We know that, but we're trying our best to have the feature that will help you like preempt those issues, or at least take a decision that will help you and that won't put the project at risk. So feel free to try them out, and if you have any question, then I'll be more than happy to answer in the chat. So yeah, if you do have any questions, then I'm here. And otherwise, I think it will be the time to let you go. Hi, Jatinder. Super nice to hear from you. So those features are already available, especially the feature for budget contract. You might be, if I recall correctly, you might be in Ultimate or Pro package, so you might have a little lock on those feature. If you do, then feel free to. I think Joe is your account manager at Jatinder. So feel free to reach out to Joe and he will show you the different type of feature and how it can accommodate to your workflow. But it's really like, it's worth a trial. Yeah. But they're already available. Commenting, I think, is already available, team chat as well. And for the new feature, budget, bid management, contract, then for sure it's available, but it's just like on another package. So, and plus Joe is super resourceful, so I'm sure that he's going to show you very well the feature and how it can accommodate to your own workflow. Anything new with scheduling? What do we have for scheduling? So one new thing that we have from scheduling up. If you go into schedule, you can create from an estimate. So you can select, the estimate that you have had in the past, like the one that I've done for the whole renovation thing. And then it will create like a schedule from that estimate. I don't know, Jatinder, if you have tried it already from that, but it's a great way to actually start from schedule. I know we have adding more and more AI to the schedule part. So you might want to see it, I think, in a couple of months, something that will be released quite soon, hopefully. So once it's done, I'll make sure to reach out to you to let you know what's up for schedule. Yes, I'm going to show you how to add those extra dates, as you mentioned. So if you go to schedule, you have under actions, different type of things, right? So in those actions, you can do your workday settings. So in those workday settings, for instance, if you're not working on Saturdays and Sundays, for instance, you can, basically untick them. And you can add your own time that you're working, for instance. And then you save that. So that's for your workday settings. For your workday exceptions, you go to action, click on workday exceptions, and then here you will have all the public holidays that are in the UK. So in here you can select those, and you know that they're not going to be a day where you actually work. And then you can set up your own exceptions. So for instance, let's say you're going on vacation, Jatinder, I hope you will. You can set up for the full months of July, for instance. Let's say that you're taking 3 weeks. This is all I wish for you. And then you can save it, and then it will appear on your schedule. So in order to do so, I'm just going to show you quickly. In here, you're going into, so it's either you're going to, like company setting workday exception. So it's going, like in here, and then workday exceptions. And then after, you can also do it from your specific schedule. And if you go into your schedule, then you can go into actions and workday exception. And you see in here, your holidays are grayed out. So you can just like move it from when you're returning to your to work, basically. Any way of highlighting the extra dates, or I meant holidays in the future. So yes, basically you can set up into your workday extension here. So workday exception, sorry. You can go there, and then you can add several holidays. Obviously, I picked July, but you can add them in here. And then if you want to change the year, like you have 2026, then you can add all of those dates, 2027, and so on. And you can add exception based on the year. So if you already know that in 2026 you won't be there, you're taking some vacation in here, let's say the whole month of December, you can set up in December up 2026. And then save. And you can also add recurring, basically. And so in here, once you're moving up, sorry, I didn't show my screen. Hold on, I'm going back. I was on another tab. So in here, you can select, like the year 2026, and you see here, I've set it up like a vacation for December 2026. And it can goes on and on and on. And obviously here you're selecting the holidays where you're not working for the upcoming years, basically. So this is where you set up your exceptions, and this is where you set up when you're not working on those exceptions. But spoiler alert, we're working with AI to have like a more intuitive schedule. So basically so I hope that it's going to come soon for the UK. I think it's in test at the moment, but so what it does is based on what you're like estimating and what you're adding to your schedule, it will automatically convert it into like a better let's say a better time frame, because obviously a kitchen renovation might not take up to 2 days, but it might take a little bit longer. So we'll adapt to the type of work that you're doing. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to talk to you about that in the next quarterly meeting. Does the exception name show up on the schedule? Let's see if it does. Nope, it doesn't, but that's a great insight. So I'm just going to take that for, like our team, and I will bring back that feedback. Thanks for sharing. All right. Well, thank you so much for the questions. And yes, like I'll keep you posted with, everything that we are doing. Jatinder, I'll tell you that you had some questions regarding, like the new features. So probably we'll reach out to you. And for the rest of the people that joined, thank you so much. And I hope that you learned some new tips and tricks in house. And if you have any questions, feel free to just like write to our customer support service. Flora will answer to you. And I'll just going to wish you a great day for today.